everyone. I'm Donna Bossman. I'm here in Davidson, as Tracy said, and I have the pleasure of introducing our speaker for today. As we think about what we talked about last year, about this momentum we're building, what we're celebrating this month for Women's History Month, and we're thinking about this momentum in terms of business growth, innovation, progressive, diverse, and inclusive, we have an enormous opportunity in front of us to have an impact on people, ourselves, and the business, our customers. And so what we want to do as part of one of our focus areas as a network is to focus around business development and innovation. How can we as individuals and a network drive those results? So Judy today is here with us, and I'd like to just introduce a little bit about her background. She's a partner at Ecos VC, a venture development investment firm, senior advisor to the National Collegiate Inventors and Innovators Alliance, co-founder of the Chemical Angel Network, and a member of the board of directors and/or an advisor to science and engineering intensive startups, and as such, currently is CTO of Kuteris. As a former Fortune 500 executive and venture founder, Dr. Jordan's roles included VP and Global Director of Research and Development at International Flavors and Fragrances, Vice President of Worldwide Research and Development for the Pepsi-Cola Company, Vice President Research and Development of Henkel Corporation, the North American operating unit of Henkel Group. And she has also served in various academic and government roles, including Professor of Practice in Polymer Science and Economic Development at the University of Southern Mississippi, and Program Officer for the National Science Foundation IGERT program. She has a doctorate in chemistry, and she's also the recipient of the 2010 American Chemical Society's Garvin-Olin Medal, which is a very prestigious technical award. Her passion and experience around technology and innovation, business development, networks and partnerships, and talent development and diversity all combine to give us a great example of what we can do together to drive business growth and personal growth. I hope that we can pull away some action items and ideas for 2013. Judy, thanks for being with us. Let's welcome Judy to our event today.
Thanks. Thank you, everybody, and good morning. There is nothing that I can ever say to a group as diverse and as wonderful as this that you haven't heard 1,000 times before, either from somebody else or, more importantly, in your own head. The challenge is to get it out of all of our heads and get it into a positive action, not only for ourselves, but for everyone else. Over 98% of our gene pool looks identical to everybody else's gene pool. We've got to start building on that 98% and not worrying so much about the 2%. It'll take care of itself. And that's, I think, what it's all about. So I'd like to talk to you a little bit today. I've been working with Donna and Susan. I thank you both very much for coaching me up. I promise you I will not get all the coaching correct, but I will try my best to talk about personal and business development and growth powered by innovation. You know, the bottom line is we hear nothing today but about innovation. And yet, we've always been an innovative culture. Human beings are innovative. From the copper age to the iron age to the industrial revolution or the industrial age to the nuclear age to the information age, my argument is we've got to start putting it's interesting, we always talk about things in terms of technological ages. But there's a human age that has to come into this in some way. And we've always been innovators. And innovation isn't just in that science and engineering that we sort of name the world after. It's in business processes. It's in human processes. Because in the end, I argue, as a PhD chemist, I mean, you know, I'm as guilty as anybody thinking that science is great and chemistry is the central science. And we all know that all the wonderful and amazing things you make, one of which I just took a picture of because I want this in my house tomorrow, and I sent it to my husband on my BlackBerry immediately. All the wonderful things that science and chemistry bring to us mean nothing, mean zero, if we're not as a planet moving ahead together and not looking at the differences, but looking at the similarities. And you know this as well as anybody. 140 years in business, $14 billion in global business. You innovate every single, my prop is missing, every single day. And, they took it back. Oh, I had a prop that got moved. And You are acknowledged for it every single day. It's just that sometimes you don't think you're doing it fast enough or quick enough or smart enough or bright enough, or you see other companies that have bigger ROIs, et cetera, et cetera. And innovation is always thought of as an upward curve, and we're always innovating to that upper 20%. Innovation, as we think about a global economy, maybe we need to make sure that everybody globally has a great Schlage-Lock system, and everyone globally has an amazing opportunity for air conditioning. And so it depends on how you want to think about who you're innovating for and how many people as the world changes, right? That's what it's all about. But you know all about it. You also are in the cutting edge and at the heart of 21st century challenges that require 21st century solutions, from climate solutions to industrial technologies to residential solutions to security solutions. You know you are. How many of you feel that the types of products and processes you at Ingersoll Rand are putting out across all of your businesses truly are at the heart of 21st century challenges? I'd like you to all feel that way, because I stand out there every single day as an angel investor and the head of an angel network, working with VCs, starting companies. I will tell you, I've got 3 companies right now I will get 0 money from it, which has nothing to do with me, that I could introduce you to that are trying to actually get into your business models today, as startup companies from universities and things like that, because they see it as the future. So perhaps sometimes it isn't always the lens you have. You do it every day. You're fantastic at it, so you want to just be better. You don't realize how many people aspire to be you. I can't tell you. I actually did a platform meeting at the Massachusetts Technology Transfer Center about, 3 months ago, and all the company kept saying was, if I could just talk to the people at Trane. I'd give anything to talk to the people at Trane. I might be torturing people at Trane. And I get nothing from this. It's just, it's not like, so I don't want a conflict of interest. I'm not invested in a company or anything. But more people aspire to be you than you will ever realize. And I think that's part of something we don't always get. But but in your heart, you know all of this because you have this as your path to premier performance. A combination of growth through innovation and emerging markets. You're thinking about that. Operational excellence and PDI, your progressive divisive culture. And you have already articulated that you know it's about being part of the business imperative. It's just not nice to do. Companies that do it is nice to do. We all know. Well, there's the line that some people have said, well, just give me the list of qualified women and I'm sure I'll find one. Well, they're all around. You don't need a list. Just pay attention a bit. You already know that. And in your mission statement that your co-chair, because you have a new co-chair, actually said, you wrote it all down. And there's not one place in your Women's Network mission statement that uses that you're only about women. It's amazing, and it's very important. And I love that you put the her first. Thank you so much. When I tend to be gender specific, I tend to go into the female. So if I use a pronoun, I use the female. And I would like to thank and embarrass the young man in the audience. I'm Judy, and your name is? Alex. We all want a round of applause for Alex. I don't know if there's a way to do a poll, but we'd like to know how many men are sitting out there in the other audience, because if I'm offensive later on, we want to know how many want me dead. Okay? We like to know that ahead of time. I may need more than one Schlage system, and I want to know now. And you actually want to create business opportunity and leadership competence and be change agents for a positive opportunity, not just for women. And that's what matters. And you're doing it across 4 areas of focus. I would like to focus in today on the power of driving innovation for personal development and business development. My personal premise is the following. It's all about enlightened self-interest. It didn't have to be 20, 30 years ago. The company took care of us. Now, for us to help ourselves and help the company, it must be a combination of us feeling good about ourselves, us feeling good about retaining and recruiting others to the company, and the business development. They go hand in hand. And I would like to argue, and I've given talks on this before, that the 21st century innovation is very different than innovation in the past. This is a full court press contact sport. It absolutely is. Yes, this is the entire capability of graphics that I have is this little atom instead of the basketball. And it took me a while to get it and size it, and I didn't do it incredibly well. And one of my business partners said, I could take some time and make that perfect. I was like, get over yourself, Joseph. We don't need it perfect. But, the enemy of getting something done is that need for, making it perfect. He was a photography undergraduate. This means that this has got to be a process. I don't mean a bureaucratic, disastrous process. I mean it can't be a program of the month club. I mean that the idea of innovation being a contact sport means that we have to embrace it across the business. You all know that. It isn't just the research group. The single greatest opportunity, Priceline.com. Think about Priceline.com. What created Priceline.com? Was it technology and the ability of technology to program in and put in the lowest bidding? What was the innovation of Priceline.com? It was its intellectual property about the concept of a business process of reverse auctioning. And the fact that that could be patented was an amazing aha moment for this industry, that you patented business process, not just technical process. Innovation can come from anywhere. It's a process, but it needs a diverse approach for fast success. Fail fast and iterate. If we learned anything from IT-based companies, and I'm not an IT person, I'm a chemist, and I know it takes a while to bring a good product out with full high TRL and MRL, unless you want total risk, and then it's like, sure, tomorrow is a good idea, let's bring it out and see if it fresh as a bird. If not, you need a little bit more than that. With programming, we can do it over the weekend. It is true. But if we learned anything, we need a diverse approach for fast success. We need to fail fast and iterate. We need to put processes in place that allow us to learn and do that. And that means we need a full commitment and skill by everyone, backed by a 21st century set of reward mechanisms. This is actually critical. People only do what you pay them to do. I don't care what anybody says. Oh, no, this is what we said we want you to do. Really, what I just get paid for. People will only do what you pay them to do, and therefore the walk has to be the talk, and the talk has to be the walk. And I'd also like to suggest that since it is a contact sport, who knows better what they're contacting than the people at the plant level, the people who are talking to customers, the people who are out there in R&D, the people who are in there in accounting, the people who are dealing with HR problems, the people who are out there communicating their hearts out trying to make it all okay, the people who are actually working on the ground. So if you really want to do innovation, it cannot be top-down. It must be allowed top-down. It must be supported top-down. It must be measured top-down. But it must be allowed to percolate up with real value add. I will say that that is truly something that's becoming a business process innovation more and more in companies going forward. And you are doing that. You're putting teams like this together, networks like this together to make it happen. This is critical. If not, top-down allowedness is critical. Bottom-up doing it is important. Also, coming to agreement of what the heck an innovation is. I throw out a definition I personally like. I'm not saying to take it on. I'm not that great, but here's one. It's simply results, translated from concept to practical use and deployed effectively as solutions to market and business needs, market and personal needs. You're innovating every day. Your new co-chair with his 2 daughters at your age, she's innovating every microsecond. How many of you have family situations, not just kids, but also parents and stuff like that? You're innovating every 30 seconds. And a gentleman in the room raised his hand. You see, we're all innovating every 30 seconds. And we just need to help each other figure it out. And we need to be the change we want to see in the world, because there are many faces of diversity. And I really think that the more we keep talking about it being race and gender, gender and race, the more we are absolutely wasting the amazing opportunities. Because I got to tell you, the last time I looked, being a chemist, every time I talk to an engineer, we don't really speak the same language. We just don't. We try. And manufacturing to R&D, to product development, to marketing and sales. Well, a line I was given 1,000 years ago was, Judy, you need to come on the road with me. So from a marketing guy. I was like, and why is that? Because you actually look somebody in the eye and say hello and shake their hand. Many of the people you send with me, they kind of go, hi, I'm so-and-so, I'm a chemist. I was so offended. Think about the caricature nature of that. Scientists are not, and they don't even play golf. Oh, wait, get over it. I don't play golf either. But I drive a mean beer cart because I worked my way through college in a bar. And I was really good at nailing customers driving a beer cart, especially when I was younger. Never mind, let's not go there. But change isn't easy. But the uphill battle is worth it. It's not a compliance exercise. It's not solely about gender. And there is data out there to prove it. Defining diversity solely as race and gender can have a detrimental effect. It's multidimensional, it's multi-inclusional, and none of us just wants to be, okay, so I'm about 5'5", I've got blonde hair. Just by looking at me, you could be wrong. At the National Science Foundation, we always want a diverse panel of people who review programs. We are not, as a program officer, if someone doesn't tell us their gender on the form, we are not allowed to assume their gender. because there were accidents where somebody was a transgender, and the program officer wrote down woman, and it created a hullabaloo. Quite accidentally. We are not allowed to take anything. So no one wants to be multidimensional. We are all, nobody wants to be unidimensional. We're all multidimensional as human beings. And so to be categorized, well, she's a woman, or he's a man, oh, he's a white man, oh, we really don't like him. This is insanity. It makes no sense and it doesn't help. And the reason to doing this is the problems are compelling and business people can't do it alone. You can't just give it hand over the reins to somebody who says, don't worry, I'm the market manager, I'll do it. The market manager can't do it alone. Or I'm the sales guy. Or I'm the engineer, I'm really great, and because I'm female, I can do it. And it's not like we haven't heard of this multi-dimensional thing of diversity. Why, as human beings, do we have to constantly reinvent? We know about this. As long ago as 1991, a really amazing book turned R&D on its head. Central R&D was the mantra of the world. I was very interestingly lucky at the very beginning of my career. I got to meet two of the largest CEOs in the world, largest in that they ran the biggest organizations. There was Ed McLaughlin, who ran $8 billion worth of DuPont R&D, and there was Lonnie Edelheit, who ran $10 billion worth of GE R&D, totally centralized. And then there was little Judy, who was the new head of R&D for Henkel in the United States and now on the board of the Industrial Research Institute with these giants, sort of going, really, why am I on this board? And they told me, because you're the token woman and we need to break it through somehow and you're the only female CTO, so get over it. And I said, fine, I'll be happy to show up. You're going to regret it. And I'm warning you now. But let's do it. When you get the in, how many of you would have said yes? All right. How many of you would have had butterflies in your stomach like I want to kill myself? Oh, I was like crying on the couch at home. And my husband's like, what are you crying about? You were just asked to be on the board of IRI, the first woman. I'm like, I want to kill myself. I don't think I could do this. But that doesn't mean you don't stand up there in your size whatever little stilettos and grind it into the ground and make it happen. Not grind the man into the ground. Grind the situation into the ground and make it part of you. Never grind another human being in the ground. Never. And it's not like we didn't know that the idea of the handoff doesn't work, right? This is actually a set of charts taken from a set of slides that I had, Kodak slides. Thanks, Susan, Kodak slides. I'm former Polaroid, so we have a small rivalry going on here, but that's okay. She's former Kodak. This is actually from a set of Kodak slides that I gave in talks in the late 80s, early 90s. It hasn't changed because we're human beings. And these are actually papers I wrote. So I'm not so brilliant. But we were talking about this. So it's not like we don't realize that we all must be here, not because of the color of our skin or our gender, or it's based on merit. It's based on what we can do to grow ourselves and grow the business. And that's what we have to have people there for. And it isn't that we don't understand that cultural differences exist. I do speak some German. I lived in Germany. I have had the great opportunity and challenge of running global operations. And I must say, I have learned that cultures are different. And the great work of Professor Andre Laurent, INSEAD professor, actually, I had an opportunity to take an executive course with him. He actually did some amazing work that really showed that the country of your origin makes up an enormous part of what you believe is your base system of reality. It's a system, but you believe it's a reality. Okay, that's not easy. We believe our system is a reality. And it's not as if we didn't understand that technology change far surpasses the rate of social, business, and political change. In Search of the Killer App talked about it in 98. And what changes? So this is, of course, a power law curve, badly drawn by me who can't draw cars. So then she tried to get you an actual knee of the curve that if I actually did a derivative, you'd actually see a spike. But, oh well. I'm not very good with PowerPoint graphics. The bottom line is it has to do with users. If only 3 of you want to do it, it ain't going to happen. If 33 of you want to do it, it might happen. If 333 want to do it, it's going to happen. And that's what this is all about. And the happening is very important. In the early 90s, John Kotter, who is really a fantastic researcher in this area, showed that adaptive cultures dramatically outperform non-adaptive cultures. This is business performance. It's from the early 90s. This doesn't have to do with race or gender or whether I'm a scientist or an engineer or in communications. It has to do with the ability and desire to adapt. And look at the business case. Look at the differential. It's enormous. Interestingly, You now would like to know real specific data. Tell me, Judy, when more scientists and engineers are in teams with business people, why is it better? I would love to find out those data, and I'd love to create some of them. But it seems that women tend to be studied more than any other diversity. Now, I would like to know why. I have personal conjectures that I will leave off the table right now, but we tend to be studied. I guess we're so wonderful little guinea pigs. You know, Henrietta Lacks gave her cells for the world, and I guess we give our lives for science. But we are studied a lot. Please, ignore the data on women. Ignore that the data are about women. Get the principle that diversity counts. Data. American companies would do well with more senior women, and the world would do better with more women entrepreneurs. Top quartile, 68% versus 31%, depending upon the number of women, and above average EBITDA. Fortune 500 firms with the best records of putting women at the top are 18 to 69% more profitable, depending upon the industry. Companies with 3 or more women on their boards outperform the competition on all measures by at least 40%. And although women only put in 10% of the proposals for startup companies, they get funded at equal rates to men. What is our problem, ladies? Why don't we show up? Now, this is my single favorite slide, and everyone can hate me. So, my argument with this slide is the following. Pulling down an icon of a white male on Wall Street will do us no good, because we'll just have to figure out what the heck we're going to replace it with. We're pack animals, right? We always want to figure out something else to replace it with that we're going to pull down. So stop worrying about pulling down the white male and start thinking about realizing that the math says, from the wisdom of crowds, that the point is it's a diverse population with diverse ideas that are allowed to express those diverse ideas and come up with diverse opinions and diverse ideas that create value. Henry Ford was not so darn brilliant. He broke no laws of physics. He broke no laws of chemistry. He broke nothing. What he did was see the world differently, as did Edison, as did Schlage, as did Train, as did all of the inventors. The same set of data, they simply said, I'm going to see the world differently, and that's all that it's all about. And yes, I was commissioned, I was asked by Intangible Asset Magazine to write an article using the data to prove the business case for women, that women are the key intangible, yes, I am saying this right, a key intangible asset that we don't use. I said, excuse me, this time I look, I think I'm pretty tangible. I'm a little too tangible, that 10 or 15 pounds too tangible, but I'm too tangible. But no, they wanted this to be shown that this is an intangible asset that's not being used because it adds to reputational quality, because diversity is an intangible. Definite. Okay. But we have to do something ourselves. Yes, that is the Finnish flag for any of you who are Minnesotan or Finlander in any of your background. It is. I am not Finlander, my husband is. We have to do things ourselves. First of all, now I'm going to get to piss off the women. We have met the enemy, and she is us. We need to show up. We need to stay. As my Finnish mother-in-law would say, we have to have sitsu. As my Russian Jewish heritage mother would say, Judy, dear, you just need to have a little spine, a little chutzpah. It'll be okay. Both of them were school teachers, because you were a school teacher or a nurse if you wanted to work in those years, right? Both of them were school teachers. My mother was a high school teacher and a speech therapist. My mother-in-law was a kindergarten teacher. But both of them raised their kids, my husband and his siblings and me and my sister, to stand up. All right, am I an introvert? Am I an extrovert? Dead nuts wrong. I test out and have tested out. I'm 60 years old in June. For the last 35 years, I am an INTP, for those of you who know Myers-Briggs. I'm an introvert, raging. I am highly trained in a behavioral way to stand up here and be expressive. I'm a trained expressive. I'm trained to look you in the eye. It is horribly hard for me to do it. I feel nauseous before I give big talks. I worry. It doesn't look it. Why? Because how you project is different than how you may feel. And men, God love you, every single one of you that are out there, you should be our role model in how now sometimes they go over the line into arrogance, that we don't want to do, but they project confidence. We need to be as confident as we truly are. And here's the data to say why we aren't. 30% of male postdocs expected their wives to make career concessions. Only 15% of women thought it. Attrition of managerial women in venture firms. Twice the rate of men over a comparable period of time. I have 3 female friends who are VCs. 2 have already left the industry. The third one, I just talked to her yesterday, she's leaving. It's a contact sport. And those of us who are women, who are angels, I don't want to be a VC. I think the venture capital model is broken. But I believe the angel capital model is a very strong and positive one because it brings talent and skills as well as money. It's an important one. Women expect lower salaries than men for the same job, and men expect to earn more than women. Men expect to earn 13% more than women during their first year of work and 32% more at their career peak. Why? Because they negotiate. Women don't ask. They negotiate. How hard is it for you to say, you know, I'm sorry, I'd love to come and give the talk, or I'd love to do this, but you're going to have to pay me to do it. It's hard. I just had to negotiate stock. Oh, I've got a bad stock situation going on with a couple of my companies. You have to stand there. I'm nauseous. I'm scared. I hate doing it. You have to stand there and do it. Interestingly, USA Today talked about women having made no progress at the top. How many saw this article? And it was about the new book written by a young woman who is taking up an old gauntlet. I will not give my personal comment about that book or that situation. What I will note is that next to it, they're showing this particular woman, but they're quoting data from Catalyst, which obviously is not her data. So that's an important point. And this I thought was a great one. This is actually Taylor Swift saying there's a special place in hell for women who don't help other women. This is where Tina Fey and various people made comments about her at the Golden Globe. I would like to believe that there's a special place in hell for people who don't have older people, because this is what it's really about. And she just said it that way. My own data from Project Enhance, funded by the National Science Foundation, indicate that the single strongest link between actual success, salary, position, if that's how you wish to measure success. Oftentimes women say, no, I don't want to measure success that way. I want to measure it another way. Then we just get pissed off that we don't have salary and position. Passive aggression, not so good. Not so much. Doesn't work so well. But the single strongest thing is confidence. Interestingly, also from my own research with Dr. Ruth Fassinger and her group from the University of Maryland, published in Itzel et al., male managers have a perception that there's more left. This was done. This is the only statistical survey of women scientists and engineers. We used the chemical industry as the basis. We surveyed over 2,000 women and over 600 managers. So these are not anecdotal 3-4 people data. This is actually a statistical data set. And Dr. Fassinger is a world-known expert in non-traditional career choices for women and a world-class statistician and counseling psychologist. So I didn't do the math because it wouldn't have been valid, but Ruth did it and her people did it. Male managers perceive a more level playing field. Female managers are more supportive of the ability of women to grow their careers than women themselves. So if you're a woman who's made it, you believe others can make it. If you're not a woman who has made it, sometimes you don't believe in yourself as much as the women who have. And last but not least, this is a big one, Martha, as they used to say. When women are asked questions about home work stress, we talk about it. But the corollary, when we asked women how prepared you feel to deal with it, they said completely prepared. But unfortunately, we don't control the dialogue that way. And what people often hear is that we're concerned more about work-life balance than we're concerned about work progress and building value. Foolish. We can control that dialogue. What do? I would like us all to be the change we want to see in the world, accept and take action for a personal change process. Truly understand what brings value to this company, to Ingersoll Rand, to Trade, to Schlage, to all of your brands, to Thermo King, to American Standard. Understand what the value chain is for the markets you serve, and understand how your value stream fits into that value chain, and how each and every one of the functions can fit in to help that value stream in those value chains, and how each and every one of you contribute to that. It's called, Harvard Business Terms, a balanced scorecard, and the best companies use them, and they work. Leadership, we all have goals, but how we all cascade, if we don't know how we cascade, we can't innovate. Because disconnects in the structure create major dislocations. And remember, Sometimes it means getting out of your own comfort zone and asking people who know a different function other questions. For companies, you don't get off scot-free. You really do have to embrace all the faces of diversity as a business case. I believe you guys are really, really working very hard to make sure this happens globally, and this Women's Network and its goals show it beautifully. Data show that if you have a reputation for diversity, your price-to-earnings ratio is actually higher. And invest in women and diversity. We're here, we're capable, and we deliver. So I would like to leave you with a challenge to take action. It's a call to action. One, I'd like to suggest that each and every person on the phone and here sit down, not just when it's performance review time or performance development process time, which every company has, but identify, propose, and develop a personal strategy aligned with the business strategy from your lens of your function and capabilities to help you build personal confidence so that you can help the company build professional. And even those of you who feel very confident, great! Help others to do the same thing. This is not just building your personal goals about you. It's helping others build personal goals so that they can move ahead. So it's that combination. And I'd like to put the challenge out there for each chapter to take some time and really understand the business goals and how you can think about creating aligned innovations. They can be business process, they can be cost saving, they can be from an HR perspective, they can be from a science perspective, they can be, and I, of course, would be delighted if it was from a material science and engineering perspective, yay for those, especially in my little world, but all of them go together, and that's really important. And make sure it's aligned with the value chain of the markets in which you participate and the value stream that you know that Ingersoll Rand in the various business units is pursuing. Bottom line is, it is a contact sport, but it's a team contact sport. And people who never thought they could win. This is the 1999 U.S. women's soccer team. Who thought the U.S. could ever win in global soccer? But they did it because they believed in themselves and they really were able to do it. And when we work together, when people help each other, so when women aim for causes, usually those causes, the data show, are not just for women themselves. It's for their families. It's for the globe. It's for better. When a woman receives microcredit in a developing country, oftentimes she helps the community. And that is what it's all about. It's helping the community and helping each other to rise up. So thank you very, very much. You're on the road in an amazing way, and it's been a phenomenal honor to have a chance to talk with you.